Welcome to Green Building Matters, the podcast that matters for green building professionals. Learn insight in green buildings as we interview today's experts in LEED and WELL. We'll learn from their career paths, war stories, and all things green, because green building matters. And now our host, and yes, he has every LEED and WELL credential. Here's Charlie Cichetti.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of the Green Building Matters podcast. I'm your host, Charlie, and today is a public service announcement about how do you keep up your credentials, your LEED credentials, your WELL credential. Maybe some of you have a Sites AP. Let's talk about the GBCI credentials. There's some confusion in the marketplace about how many hours and how do I get LEED-specific hours? Is there a grace period? What if it lapses? So I want to cover some of the frequently asked questions about how do you keep up your LEED, WELL, or Sites professional credentials. And some of you, after hearing this, might want to move on and take another exam, get multiple credentials, specialize in multiple rating systems. So let's dive in. A little history. A long time ago, I took the LEED AP version 2.2 exam. It was the new construction V 2.2. I actually took that exam in 2008. That summer, there were several of us studying together at Opus when we were working for a large real estate developer, and I was on the construction team, and we were cramming, we were studying. And way back then, there was really only one, maybe two LEED exams. You could kind of go new construction, or then they came out with kind of an existing building LEED credential, but that was it. And then a year later, the summer of 2009, so June 2009, everything changed. All right, I know I'm being dramatic, but it was a big deal. Professionals were rushing to hurry and get locked in. There was a fear that the LEED exams were going to get really hard. It's going to split into multiple exams. Hurry and get your LEED AP now and be grandfathered in forever. That's what the industry was thinking. So in May and June of 2009, it was busy. We were doing a lot of training and helping people pass their exams. So June 2009 comes out with the latest and greatest LEED credentials, which we still have today, and that is the Tier 1 LEED Green Associate. A lot of you listening probably have your LEED GA. It's a professional credential. Congratulations. And then you could specialize and take a Tier 2 LEED exam, LEED AP, a LEED Accredited Professional, and BD+C, Building Design and Construction, ID+C, Interior Design and Construction, O+M, Operations and Maintenance for our existing building professionals, ND, Neighborhood Development, and Homes. 5 specialty credentials that build on the LEED Green Associate. So they came out with 6 new exams. I remember going to a green build with Rick Fedrizzi saying, you know what, with LEED version 3 and all the credential changes, that was probably too much too fast, looking back on it. But all these new exams came out. It makes sense. Let's have a coverall, high level, but still professional credential exam, closed book. You've got to study for it. Not a lot of people have it, LEED Green Associate. But then maybe you want to move on and take one of these specialty exams. Now, some of you listening may have a colleague, or maybe it's you, that were an old LEED AP called a legacy LEED AP, and you are really enticed to opt in and become a LEED AP BD+C. Get current, get the latest credential, and just opt in. If you didn't opt in, so here's the first frequently asked question. What if I'm an old LEED AP only? Sure, technically, you don't have to do anything. You can keep that LEED AP on your business cards. There's not the LEED police that are going to come and take that away. But, you're a legacy LEED AP. For those of you that opted in or tested in to be a LEED AP BD+C, yes, now you have to do continuing education every 2 years, 30 hours for your specialty LEED exams every 2 years. And 6 of those 30 hours have to be LEED specific. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So again, that's the history. Some of you are legacy LEED APs, or you have a colleague that was. Some opted in. And of course, after that June 2009, the major updates, we all now had to test in to the lead green associate and the specialty credentials. Call me crazy, but I did take and pass all of the lead exams. I even snuck in and took the lead green associate there just so I could see what it's like. And then as a consultant and as an educator, as a trainer, I wanted to make sure I knew what it was like to take and pass all these exams, be ready for those rating systems, those building projects, but of course, help others pass the exam. So I've passed all the lead exams. So let's talk about the lead continuing education for a minute, and then I'll tell you a little more about the WELL AP. Some of you might even have that credential. So on the lead side, I have pulled up in front of me, and we're going to link to it, is the lead CMP guide. That's the Credentialing Maintenance Program guide. And it really states at the top that if you're a current lead professional, you have a reporting period that's every 2 years. It's a 2-year cycle. Every 2 years, if you're a lead green associate, you need 15 hours of continuing education. 12 hours can be general. 3 hours need to be lead specific or rating system specific. Now, why this change? Well, essentially, the folks at GBCI really want to make sure that you are continually learning, staying up to date, you stay competent, and you really know what's going on today. That it's not like you took an exam 5, 6, 8 years ago on an old version of lead, and when green buildings were different, you stayed current, and you're proving to the industry. You test, you pass, and every 2 years you keep up your CE. This is common, right? Real estate licenses do this, accounting certifications and credentials do this, nursing licenses, and so forth. Lawyers, I could go on down the list. It's very common in a professional world to have to do continuing education. Honestly, I talked to some peers in other industries, and 30 hours every 2 years or even 15 hours every 2 years is not too bad. Some of them have to do even more than that. But again, the purpose of LEAD CMP, or Credentialing Maintenance Program, is to make sure you're staying current with the times and you're keeping up that credential. Now, technically, if you don't keep up your hours, yes, you can lose the credential and you would need to retest. Now, I can't speak for them, but if you're really close to your deadline, something came up, sometimes you can get a little bit of a grace period, but you'd have to check with GBCI. Again, we're going to link to the LEAD CMP guide, and it really tells you the hours and how to keep this up. What are the restrictions? So let's say you're a lead green associate. You need 3 hours that are lead specific. Here at GBES, that's what we do. A lot of you know us for our exam prep. We've been helping people pass these exams for over 10 years, but we have an amazing continuing education library too. So check out gbes.com and click on our CE bundles. So 3 hours of lead specific means it's been pre-approved with GBCI and the U.S. Green Building Council that yes, this has been validated. These learning objectives are good. We stamp off on this. This is lead specific. So you have to find those approved hours. The general hours could be lunch and learn. It could be a conference. Maybe you go to the Green Build conference. Maybe you buy some other education, online education like we have for your general hours. Maybe you want to learn more about solar. All right, go get some general hours there. You have to log all these hours on usgbc.org. You log into my account, you'll log your hours, and then every 2 years you pay, and the fees change, but I think it's about $85, and you can renew, and you're good for 2 more years. So Lead Green Associates listening, there's about 36,000 of you in the world. You need 15 hours of continuing ed every 2 years. 3 of those hours have to be lead specific. Now, there's a few ways to get these hours. The most common is to just watch and learn the pre-approved education like we have, but maybe some of you work on lead projects. Actually, if you work on a lead project in some form during the project, throughout the project, you can actually log some hours because you're on one of the latest lead projects out there. So that counts, and that's one of them that you need to look up. So project participation, authorship, volunteering, but there's a cap on volunteering. Those are some additional ways that you can earn your hours. Lead specific, and later we'll talk sites or well specific, but essentially if you look at the Lead CMP guide on pages 1 and 2, it shows you, okay, for lead specific hours, you really have to do a deep dive on integrative process or location and transportation or sites or water, energy. You have to have learned something specific to one of those components within the lead rating system. Hey, I've stayed current. Those are my lead specific hours. Log your hours and then you're good for 2 more years. Now, naturally, what happens? You're busy professionals, and sometimes you wait. You wait until the last minute, and you're cramming that weekend before your deadline. You don't want to take that hard test again. Don't do that. Pace yourself, and we can help you do that. A lot of our customers give us here at GBS your renewal date, and then we can help coach you through, hey, watch these classes over the next quarter, and then these classes. You can actually kind of pace yourself, and then it's easy to hit the renew button, and you're good for 2 more years. So easier said than done, but try not to wait to the last minute and then have to go scramble and find your continuing education. Now, what if you're a lead AP with specialty? I told you I've passed all of the exams, so I'm going to tell you how many hours I need in just a minute. But if you're a lead AP BD+C, you need 30 hours every 2 years. 6 of the 30 hours have to be specific to the BD+C rating system. Hey, I've stayed current there. Again, have you worked on lead projects? That can count. You can log some hours. There's a few other ways to get it, but the most common and the easiest is to get the pre-approved lead-specific hours, and we actually can sync up your hours and report for you to the USGBC. Now, what if you have multiple credentials? So if you're a lead AP BD+C and O+M, you've got 2 of those 100 question exams that you've passed, then you need 30 hours for your selected and primary lead specialty, and then you only need 6 additional hours. So you would need 36 hours. 6 would be for BD+C that are specific, and the other 6 for O+M. For me, I have to do 54 hours every 2 years. And again, the way that works is 30 hours for your first specialty credential, and then you need the 6 specific hours for each additional lead specialty credential. Some of you might want to go after more than one lead credential. I highly encourage it. Maybe you want to show you not only understand new construction out of the ground, but interiors. Go for ID+C. Maybe you want to show you know new and existing buildings. Okay, BD+C and O+M. A lot of the consultants that I work alongside, that's what they go after, one of each, new and existing buildings. Maybe you specialize in interiors. Maybe you want to get into homes and you want to be forced to study, learn, and take the test. So you are one of the few experts for lead for homes. So those are the lead CE requirements. Now let's talk about the WELL AP. It's a 100-question multiple choice exam. It's growing in popularity. At the time of this recording, there's about 2,500 WELL APs in the world and another 3,000 registered to take the exam. You have to do 30 hours of continuing education every 2 years for your WELL AP. Now, on the general hours, there can be overlap with your lead credentials. That's the good news. But you will need 6 WELL-specific hours, okay? Check it out. We've got some awesome WELL AP bundles of your continuing education over at gbes.com. And then sites would be similar. There's about 250 sites APs and another 700 that are registered. Take a look at sites. There's some really cool programs out there under the gbci.org, GBCI umbrella. With sites, it is a 100-question multiple choice exam, just like your lead and your WELL exams. Once you pass sites, 30 hours every 2 years. You get it. 6 of those specific to sites. Under sites, you would need to have some specific hours for site design water, site design soil and vegetation, and on down that list. So high level, don't be intimidated by this. But yes, once you pass one of these professional credential exams in our industry, you have to do the continuing education. Try really hard to pace your learning. Log those conferences, log those lunch and learns. If you need some more hours, let us know. Here at the GBES team will help you out. But if you have multiple credentials, I've shown you how many hours you need, how there can be some overlap. Lead GAs, 15 hours every 2 years, 3 of those specific. Lead APs with a specialty, 30 hours every 2 years, 6 hours need to be specific. Work with GBCI. If you're in a bind, go to gbci.org, scroll to the bottom, click on Contact Us. And, they're very helpful. They've got a great team there that can look up your credential and see what's going on. Maybe there's a little grace period if needed, but let's keep up your hours. here at GBES, we can help auto-report your hours and make this easy for you. Okay, so that's Lead CMP. Again, that's your credentialing maintenance program. We're going to link to the Lead CMP guide. So if you have any questions, here's the full book on it. Hopefully this has also inspired you a little bit to maybe look into one of the other credential exams. Maybe you have a Lead GA, but you're like, well, should I go for O&M? Should I go for well? Should I do sites? No one has that yet. Well, maybe this has inspired you to think about going after another credential. Maybe you're a Lead GA, and while a lot of people stop there, it's a professional credential. Maybe you're like, you know what? Let me go for that well AP. Not a lot of people have that. I'm interested in health and wellness. Sure, it's tricky, but let me go for it. Or maybe you want to go for a lead specialty. You know what? We've got you covered. Let us know if you have any questions. Again, reach out here to the GBES team. In general, I'm a big fan of multiple credentials. So make sure, study, pass the exam, and then you really, really need to make sure you're out in front. Keep up your continuing education. It's not too bad. And then you don't have to ever test again. Well, thanks for listening to this, but I have a couple announcements, okay? Be on the lookout for some episodes over the next several weeks. We've been reaching out to some lead fellows. These are the best of the best in our green building industry, and I'm having them on as guests to tell their story, to talk about some really cool and some really thought-provoking green building concepts that maybe we haven't normally been thinking of. So be on the lookout for the next several episodes. I'm so excited to be interviewing some lead fellows out there in the marketplace. That's number one. Number two, at gbes.com, we've been focused on this industry for the last 10, almost 11 years. We're helping you pass exams. We're helping you keep up your education, your credentials with your CE hours. But be on the lookout. Coming up, we have some exciting news with some new offerings I think you're going to really, really want to be a part of. So with that being said, thank you for listening. I really, really appreciate you listening to the podcast. If you enjoyed it, please leave us a review, and we'll see you next week. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Green Building Matters podcast. At gbes.com, our mission is to advance the green building movement through best-in-class education and encouragement. Remember, you can go to gbes.com/podcast for any notes and links that we mentioned in today's episode, and you can actually see the other episodes that have already been recorded with our amazing guests. Please tell your friends about this podcast. Tell your colleagues. And if you really enjoyed it, leave a positive review on iTunes. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on next week's episode.